Distribution provided by Cloud Sigma, the cloud that adapts to you.
Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Walker Corporate Law, a boutique law firm specializing in the representation of entrepreneurs. To find out more, visit their site, walkercorporatelaw.com. And by New Relic. Visit newrelic.com/twist and see why thousands of developers worldwide don't deploy without it.
Hey everybody, it's This Week in Startups. This is our News Roundtable edition. We do this every Friday. James Altucher, author and commenter, is with us, formerly an entrepreneur. He gave up on that. It was too hard. Now he just writes about it and how hard it is. And also Marshall Kirkpatrick, a great writer in his own way. And what do we say, in your own right?
In your own right, sure.
A writer, that's why I fumbled that. Writer in your own right. Terrible use of language. But Marshall is, of course, doing Little Bird, which is a phenomenal service in the social media and intelligence space. Two great people to comment on the stories that Kirin, the executive editor, managing editor, some editor of Launch, editorial director, yeah, that's fancy, of Launch, will read the news. And boy, do we have a lot of news. Dick Costello, Tim Cook, Sheryl Sandberg, a lot of stuff going on. Facebook, just their horrific calls on the hate speech issue, Yahoo bidding for Hulu, and a new segment, Launch of the Week. We're going to pick who had the best launch, Max Levchin, yours, Eves, Bihar, or Fanhattan. We're going to have three different startups, and we're going to pick which one had the best launch. Stick with us. It's going to be an amazing episode.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody. This is This Week in Startups. If it's your first time listening to the program, where the hell you been? www.thisweekinstartups.com. On Twitter, at TWiStartups. I am your host. My name is Jason Calacanis. I am a serial entrepreneur. I have built a couple of companies. I have gotten my ass kicked. I have kicked ass. I have invested in 30 startup companies. I have a conference that's the largest conference in technology, blah, 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 yada, 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 all that stuff about me. Anyway, long way of saying, you should listen to what I say. Not because I'm particularly smart, but because I talk to a lot of smart people all the time. And I have the scars to prove it. I have collected information about how to start companies and how to succeed in the technology and entrepreneur and the startup business for 2 decades. As a journalist, as an operator, as an angel investor, and of course as the host of this program for over 350 episodes. If that is not enough to convince you to subscribe, for God's sake, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, follow the Twitter handle, and get involved and listen to the show. This is your MBA. It's your CBA, your Calacanis Business 101. All right? And if you come to the show every week, you're going to get really effing smart. I guarantee it, because I have the smartest people in the world on the program. With me today, two of them. James Altucher, welcome back to the program.
Having me back, Jason.
You, of course, are the author of an amazing book that has just come out. Choose Yourself, Be Happy, Make Millions, Live the Dream. And you did that.
Yes.
If people buy this book, which you can only buy in Bitcoin, that's a good hook. What are they going to get out of this? If I read this book and I give you a Bitcoin, what am I going to get out of it?
Well, first of all, starting Monday, you could buy it in any currency. But what you're going to get out of it is you're going to realize that you don't have to be stuck behind a cubicle. You can actually get the tools to either start your own business, be an artist, be an entrepreneur, or in some way find happiness from within without having to be chosen for happiness by a boss or a publishing company or whoever, by a VC fund, whatever.
You don't have to be anointed. You can have that. But just do me a favor. Just play that down a little bit, because I got Kirin over here in a cubicle working her ass off, and now she's going to get this book.
But you're a startup, so startup culture is okay.
Startup culture is okay. All right, listen, it sounds like a great book. Everybody go check out Choose Yourself, bitcoin.chooseyourself.us. And go just put Choose Yourself into Amazon. It's a great book. I haven't read it, but I can say that because James writes incredible, insane essays. Do you write these essays on Ambien, James? Let me be honest for a second.
No, usually a lot of coffee. But Jason, I'll tell you, this one was inspired by something you said to me in 1997. I said to you, back then we were talking about my first startup, and I said to you, you know so much about startups, why don't you start investing? And you said, I only invest in myself.
That's
was
true.
then. Things are different, but choosing
I have a
yourself
lot more
is
money.
not investing yourself.
I got to put more money. I can't possibly put all the money. Wow, God, that was an obnoxious statement.
Very obnoxious.
What am I supposed to do? How do I put $25,000 into myself now? You know, like I'm trying to invest $250,000 a year in startups. How do I do that in myself? I mean, I don't know, plastic surgery or something like that. Maybe a little iBangle in here, get the nose fixed. Anyway, listen, that's very, very complimentary. Thank you. But I did say that to a lot of people. I invest in myself, and then I missed on investing in Twitter and Zynga and a bunch of other things, and now I want to kill myself. So now I'm an investor in Uber and a bunch of other great companies. Also on the program, another brilliant person, Marshall Kirkpatrick. I think this is his 7th. Can I keep a record of how many times they've been on the program?
All
Just
right,
give me
we'll
that,
do
because I want to have, like, Saturday Night Live has the 5-timer club.
Sure.
I think Marshall's at least in the 5-timer club. How you doing, Marshall?
I'm doing great, Jason. Thanks so much for having me on.
Well, you always bring it, and you're honest and no BS kind of guy, and that's why when you and James are on the program, we always have a great. They've been on the program before. I'm absolutely
Yeah,
certain
they
of
both
it.
No,
not
I
together.
have.
You've never been on
I
it
have
together?
never had any interaction with James in the past. I just read his blog over and over again and share it with all my coworkers and
Yeah.
employees. And
Thanks, Marshall.
Oh my goodness, I'm just beside myself with joy about the opportunity to share some internet here with
Yes.
James.
Yeah, and now you have Get Little Bird is now you're on the 2.0 or 3.0 version. What's going on? Because I know you had a new version, or maybe I'm not supposed to say that.
Oh no, yeah, you can.
Okay.
It's pretty great. So Little Bird, much like your show, helps you find the smartest people in the world on any topic, and then engage with them and their knowledge. And in the past, we were just doing that on Twitter and blogs, and that worked real well. But over the past week or so, we've been rolling out support for LinkedIn, Google+, YouTube, Quora, a bunch of other places. So
Can I hit your API?
That's super exciting.
Can I hit your API? Because I'm doing the project inside.com. I could use a little something like this, like where I see here, this is cheese I have on my screen. And I can see that culture cheese, cheesemonger. There's a bunch of this is your diagram of cheesemongers, correct?
Yep, these are the most trusted and influential cheese experts in the world, and there's a lot of interest in our API. We did something really interesting at South by Southwest with Wagner Edstrom, but right now the API isn't commercially available.
Okay.
So we ask you to come and take
Talk
all this knowledge direct through your eyeballs through the site. But in the future, it will be programmatically
What does this
available.
cost? What can I get into this for? If I'm a marketer and I need to know who the top people in cheese are, is it $500 a month? Is it $100 a month? $100,000 a year? It feels like this is a $50,000 a year product to me. How much does it cost?
For enterprises, it is. For small businesses, it starts at $250 a month.
Oh, I can deal with
And
that.
I was just talking to one of our newest customers, one of the world's leading experts in social sales, who said, we're paying $250 a month right now and making so much more than that using the product. So we
All
think
right.
you can too.
Fantastic. Just a quick plug here. The Launch Education and Kids, the second annual, brought to you by Pearson School Messenger. This is one of the launch series of events. We do the Launch Festival. We've done that for 6 years. We also do these little vertical events. This one is about kids and education. 20 great startups are going to launch, and Pearson's and School Messengers are presenting sponsors. And if you'd like to come, well, it's sold out. Sorry. But it's like I'm promoting an event that's sold out. I love it. So, but there is a waiting list, and you know how the waiting list works. You say, I want to be on the waiting list. If somebody cancels, and there was always like a dozen people who cancel, we'll give you one of their tickets. So go ahead and go to launchedu.co. It's going to be a great event. Mitch Kapoor, Daphne Kohler of Coursera, Linda Weinman of lynda.com will all be my fireside chats. I'll be doing personal interviews with those great folks. I'm really looking forward to it. Judges include Robert Scoble, Vivek Wadhwa, who have both been on the program many times. Is it Eileen Lee,
Yes.
but it's just hard to with the spelling. Eileen Lee of Cape Kleiner Perkins, that's fantastic. Having her on. Esther Dyson, amazing. Adea Oresi, amazing. And Tim Brady of Imagine K-12. 20 companies on stage, great fireside chats, and a great party. Thank you so much for working so hard on the event. Demont, Kirin, Emily, and the whole crew. Crute, he's kind of working. I don't know if Crute's working very hard. He's working hard, but he's not keeping up with the rest of the team. We got to step it up, Crute. I'm watching you. Just kidding. All right, we have a lot of news. Just give us the rundown of what's going to be in the news today. Just
All
do it.
right. Well, there's lots of news from D because we had
Yeah.
those big names on stage with Kara and Walt.
Great.
Tim Cook, Sheryl Sandberg.
Let's do one news story
DiCosta.
right now. Tim Cook, go.
All right. So Tim Cook, probably most. You
Okay.
want to see the video first?
Yeah, let's play the video. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. One video, and then I'll do an ad. Good.
somewhat natural. But as I said before, I think for something to work here, you first have to convince people it's so incredible that they want to wear it, because you two guys are wearing watches. If we had a room full of 10 to 20-year-olds, and we said, everybody stand up that has a watch on,
that just tells time, just a time.
I'm not sure anybody would stand up.
Yeah.
I don't see it. And you look at what kids are wearing.
So what company?
Their watch, their watch is this.
All right, so what company could put something on their wrist that they want to wear?
I don't
Can you think of any?
I don't know. And I don't think it has to be just that. I think there are other wearable ideas that are
Different sensors.
could be interesting. Yeah, the whole sensor field is going to explode. It's already exploding. It's a little kind of all over the place right now, but with the arc of time, it will become clearer, I think.
Oh my God, so loud. Okay, Marshall, what do you think? They're gonna make the bangle? They're gonna make the iBangle? I'm calling it the iBangle, like Wonder Woman's bangles.
I don't need an iBangle. My iPhone has so many sensors in it, and their responsiveness is just beginning to be tapped. I've been using the Moves app lately.
Yeah, that's a cool app. Moves.
Pedometer, really smart, no overhead, little battery drain. If you've used some of those apps where you can point the camera at your face and it will watch the color in your skin to detect your heart rate. I do push-ups and touch my nose to the screen that counts them. It's got plenty of sensors in there already, and I think that stuff's only going to proliferate.
Yeah, the Moves app is amazing, and that's a fair point. James, do you agree that you don't want the bangles? You would look spectacular in some Wonder Woman bangles.
Well, I want the Google glasses. That in terms of wearable computing, I would give everything I own just for one pair of Google glasses. And I think Apple's sort of in denial here about what a kind of game changer that's going to be when it comes out. In terms of all wearable computing, I think it will start to handle everything.
Okay, absolutely incorrect, James. Let me explain why.
Well, and this
Tell me.
goes to the question of, is
Yes.
Tim Cook as good at Steve Jobs as saying they're not going to do something and then doing it?
Okay, yeah, so that's a very good point, Kirin. Let me go through the list of what's going on here. Number one, Tim Cook is like listening to your grandfather talk about like what it was like when television came out. I mean, unbelievably how boring he is. I think there are a lot of watches. You might be wearing one. I have one. Somebody else might have one. They're different. And in the arc of time, Archimedes had a watch. It was called the sundial. And I'm just like, I'm ready to. Everybody walked out of that keynote. I was at D. They hated it. And he was terrible last year as well. And I love Tim Cook, don't get me wrong. But as a speaker, to have to follow Steve Jobs is an impossible mission. And
But Jason, look what's happened in the past year, though. Since that first D conference, Apple's lost the race against Google on
All right.
our little favorite Note 2 here.
Okay, here. So let me get into the wearable computing, because that's the big issue, I think. Number one, they are absolutely making the wristband. That is absolutely correct. And it is going to be amazing. And I think a full 1/3 to 50% of people with a phone will buy it if it's under $200. The reason is people check their phone 150 to 300 times a day. All of us do this. We check our smartphones how many times? Now, what do you check? You check SMS messages, you check your calendar, you check your email, right?
Exactly.
And those things are perfect for a bangle. And if you could just turn your watch like that, your wrist like this, and you see my next schedule, and you can flip through it, that is 1,000 times better than Google Glass. Google Glass is the worst creation ever. It's terrible. I wore it this week at D. I've handled it before. It's very innovative, of course. However, it is the most loathsome product I've ever used. I had to ban 3 or 4 people during my private poker game from wearing them in the room. Loic brought them in. Don from Smug Mug brought them in. I confiscated them and put them in a closet, because when somebody has these horrific devices on their face, you don't know if they're recording you or not. And so they walk up to you and they're like, how you doing? I'm like, can you take the glasses off? Because I don't know if you're recording me or not. There's no way to know. And it is, you're talking to the person. I'm looking at Kirin right now, and they're like,
they're winking or they're looking
and
up.
I'm like, what are you doing? And you can see a little reflection of light sometimes. I'm like, what are you doing? I want to rip those things off of you. I want to punch you in the face for wearing them. They are horrific. They are terrible for humanity. And there is this horrible, the stupidity is everybody says, we get used to technology. Right? This is what technologists say. We get used to technology. You have to adjust. The social norms will come. Listen, there are no social norms for chemical weapons or nuclear ones, right? There are certain things you just don't do. There are certain things that are bad for society.
This isn't a nuclear weapon.
I know. Let me tell you something. In terms of humanity and interpersonal relations, it is the equivalent of an acid attack because we need as human beings.
I think it's better for interpersonal contact.
You're absolutely wrong, James, and you're being contrarian, and I love you for it. But let me explain to you why.
I want one.
I've had conversations with you. I've had conversations with you that should not be recorded, James. There are things you've said to me that if I posted them to Vine or to YouTube would be career-ending for both of us. Okay? There's inappropriate things that you...
I'm fine with career-ending. Please post them.
That's because you have no career. You're unemployable. This is a terrible technology, and it's laughably bad. That's the other thing. It's a laughably bad product. It is 5 years too soon. Now, I understand when they brought it out. There's a lot of... I think it's great to build it in public. It is innovative. It'll be great for war. Soldiers, which already have these kind of things, they'll do great for war. It'll be great for ambulance drivers. It'll be great for doctors. And they'll be great, like when you're driving, it's perfect, right? When you're driving, you should be wearing Google Glass. If you come to a goddamn dinner party or poker game I have with those glasses on, I'll smack them off your face if you don't take them off.
You don't understand. A dinner party is going to war. Like you have to be able to handle just about anything thrown at you at like a dinner party or a networking event. There's so many possible uses for remembering, understanding what you're looking at, videotaping, searching Google.
Marshall, do you want to be at a dinner party? Marshall, do you want to be at a dinner party with people wearing these goddamn things? Yes or no?
No.
See? Kirin?
I don't know, actually.
If a person is staring at you and you don't know if they're recording you or not at a dinner party, you comfortable with that or not?
Probably not.
And see, this is where the knucklehead technologists, no offense, James or Robert Scoble, they're friends of mine, but knucklehead technologists sometimes get so far ahead that they love technology so much, they don't realize the difference between this and the glasses. If I took this out and I went like, I'm going to carry it on my head, dude, put it in a band, and I walk up to you, you'd be like, what are you doing, you idiot? Like, are you taking pictures of me right now, recording stuff? It's obnoxious. It is so obnoxious. And when you see the thing is, you guys haven't been to an event where 5 people have them on. It is so obnoxious, and everybody hates them, and you look like an idiot with them on. And I understand that they're going to be so small and tiny, you won't even know if they're there. This is a bad thing for society. We need the quiet, personal, loving. I don't want to sound loopy here, but there is something very magical about 2 humans having a real conversation, right? That's what it's all about. And
yeah, but that ended with Gmail, Facebook, Twitter.
No, it didn't.
That ended with email.
It did not end with email.
And it won't end with Google Glasses either.
See, this is technological determinism at its worst. Because
I'm not
we
a
can make it. You're a determinist. You are. You're just loopy over the technology like Scoble. Like, if we can make it, therefore it's good. Not everything you make is good.
No, and technology generally in the past has been used for bad before it's been used for good. Military uses come before civilian uses.
This is just bad. I just think they're terrible. I think they're DOA, I'll be honest. I think these are not good. I think glass...
Even if all these developers are excited and building for it?
Listen, I think it'll be very unique applications that'll be great. Like taking pictures of your kid, it's going to be great, right? If I'm taking pictures of my kid, it's going to be fun, but it's going to also take away from like some things, And I think it's going to, the balance for me is I don't want to talk to people with these things on.
Okay.
That's what I think. But I think the iBangle is going to be spectacular. Do you think they're going to make it, Marshall, or no?
I'm feeling kind of uncomfortable in this conversation the way you're talking at me through this camera. Are you recording this?
See, well, there's disclosure here. Well played.
I feel like we're not communicating properly here.
You should have them sitting next to you and you guys can cuddle while you talk.
No, there's a difference between the conversation that occurs on a show where you know you're being recorded and conversations that occur at a poker table or, when you're smoking a cigar or anything else. Are you drinking?
That might be unhealthy, secondhand smoke.
The unmediated, authentic, present engagement between people is a sacred part of the human experience. And it's one thing to pull a phone out of your pocket every once in a while, and it's another to say, I would like Google to stand in between me and my wife.
Bingo. Speaking of you and your wife, there was a video online today. I don't know if Bryce, our media jockey out there, can find it, but it was on my, I think I retweeted it. It was on my Twitter feed. Somebody proposed to their wife with Google Glass on. Right. Which, I understand. That's kind of cute. It's like, that's nice to record. Some people record their proposals. It's nice. I mean, it's a little bit weird, but it's okay, fine. All right, let's do a commercial. Let's do a commercial break.
During your wedding.
Yeah, like if everybody's dancing around, I'm gonna lift it up on the chair. Like, I don't know if I want. Maybe I do. I don't know. That might be nice. Like I say, I think if you use them sparingly to record something and then take them off, it could be okay. And that's what actually I saw people doing, because the battery life is terrible on those, like 3 hours of battery life. Like Louis had them on, and then Louis had them like over his head to show like I have a $1,500. I have Google Glass. Like, hey, I'm Louis. Check me out. I got Google Glass. Like, so that he can't just put them away. He's got to have them like on the top of his head. It looks even more ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Louis looking ridiculous? I have a hard time imagining that.
No, actually, Louis' a really good look. I mean, unlike Robert Skull, was a train wreck.
Yeah,
like,
Louis
let me tell you something. If Louis takes a shower with those glasses on, I think that half the internet's going to really like it. Maybe 75% of the internet's going to really like it. Louis is a strapping, good guy, kite surfs. You see Robert Scoble in the shower? That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare.
Now be nice.
Were you wearing Google glasses when you?
Turn the volume.
Were you wearing Google glasses when you saw him in the shower?
Hold on, turn this up. Volume. Where's the volume? Volume.
Let's start our adventure together.
Here we go.
Will you marry me?
Yes. Aww. Of course I will.
Jason, how could you be against that?
That was good. That was good.
How could you be anti that?
Okay, listen, capturing those moments is going to be great. I think it's going to be great. I think this is a social norm I want. Anytime I think, number one, you don't wear them by default. You ask to put them on in a social setting. That's what I think people should do, honestly. Like, some people just think they can. People walk up to me and just start taking pictures of me. I'm like, did you ask? Or like, if I'm with my daughter or something. Like, I think it's kind of weird to just go up to somebody and just take a picture of them. I always tell people, like, you should ask first. Like, maybe I want to fix my hair.
Don't you think things like that will evolve anyway? Like, social norms evolve. They're not kind of like thrown at us. They evolve with time, and this is a technology, and it'll evolve like any other technology.
All right. You are correct, but this one just happens to be on the. There's a scale. Some products come out, like when the iBangle comes out, it's gonna trounce the glasses. Everybody will have one. It'll be the social norm. And going like this, and then looking back, fine. It's not really gonna F with people, I don't think. When we get back from
those bangles,
the bangles.
So the upper class will look at the web connected bracelet on their wrist, and the lower class will be watched by the web connected bracelet on their ankles, and we'll all be wearing bracelets of one type or another.
Yeah, if you want to talk about the police state and the 3 million people that are incarcerated, yes. Everybody's going to have some level of these things on. But here's the Wonder Woman bangles, and let me show you what this is going to look like. Here you go. This is Google Glass. That's it. There it is. There's Google Glass. I'm sorry, not Google Glass. That's the iBangle. That's what it's going to be. I predict it's going to be almost that width, and it's going to be awesome. Maybe about 60% of that. When we get back from commercial break, Facebook does not allow women to breastfeed on Facebook, but they will allow you to make jokes about raping women, and they don't care when we get back from this commercial break. How is that for a good teaser? Good. It's a pretty good teaser, right? Not that we try to talk about the stuff that is controversial, but hey, there's something that's not controversial, and that is New Relic. New Relic, awesome. You know New Relic, right, Marshall?
Yeah, they're right down the street.
Oh, they are in Portland?
They're here in Portland, Oregon. We're real proud to have them. They've raised a bunch of money. They make a great product, and they've got a great team.
I was talking to some VCs, and they were like lamenting that they didn't get to invest in New Relic because it was doing so well. Anyway, New Relic makes your web and your mobile apps faster by monitoring real user experience, monitoring code-level app performance, and monitoring server resources. So just so you know, when you make a web app, you got the server, you got the transport layer coming to you, you got your app layer, the code that you write. And you need to monitor this stuff because, as Marissa and the Google folks said, the best feature is speed. Speed, right? The faster you make a product, the more people use it. Adding another feature to your product, not as important as making your current product faster and more stable. That's what New Relic does. 40,000 customers cannot be wrong, including Skullcandy, Spotify, Nike, Zillow, Vonage, and myself, Jason Gallicanis. I use the product. We love the product. And then they came on as a sponsor. That's what this show is all about. We're sold out for months and months and months in advertising because we only have products on here that we use. And this is another one of those great products. It's very affordable, and you can get a free This Week in Startups. This is what like the test looks like. You pull on my screen. Boom. Here's your app server, and you see like, oh, this part of the app took this much time, et cetera. And I get these things in email all the time, which makes my life so easy. You see the CPU utilization. You see the physical memory utilization, the disk I/O, like how the hard drive's doing. You know, and all that kind of stuff. It's just, it works. And we get this stuff in email so I can see, oh, my uptime is good. My views are good. The page load time, needs improvement. Quietest day, busiest day. I mean, this kind of stuff is essential when you're, building a startup company. And it's super affordable. And if you want to get a free This Week in Startups t-shirt, which they designed, a superfan designed it. There it is in the bottom right. TWiST, you just go to, where do we go? newrelic.com/twist. newrelic.com/twist. They do a great job, and you really have to have this visibility into all your web and mobile apps. Speed is critical, and stability is critical. It's super fast, super easy, and no credit card is required to get your free t-shirt just by going to newrelic.com/twist. Let's talk about the Facebook issue.
All right.
Thank you, New Relic.
So Facebook has a policy of not allowing pages that are hateful, graphic, violent, so forth, and turns out...
Wait, they have a policy for that?
They do have a policy. Okay. They just don't enforce it, Well, you could argue. And so finally there was a campaign that seems to have gotten their attention. 5,000 plus emails to their advertisers, 60,000 posts on Twitter with the hashtag fbrape.
Hello.
Yes, for sites like kicking your girlfriend in the fanny because she won't make you a sandwich and violently raping your friend just for laughs. Those were some of the pages that were in question here. Now, Facebook did pull many of the pages down because of the pressure. Nissan said they were pulling their ads.
I know, but before that, this has been going on for
2 years.
2 years that people have been trying to get Facebook to do the right thing.
Right.
Now, they also, the other part of the story is, you're not allowed to show female breasts or toplessness on the on it.
So those pages have been pulled down when there are women who are showing their mastectomy, for instance, or they've done something artistically with their bodies. Those pages have been pulled down.
So a guy can be on Facebook and in swim shorts. A woman can't be topless.
Why is a woman showing her mastectomy picture offensive and a guy talking about raping his friend not?
I think you have to look to, when these issues happen, I always look to the top of an organization. This is the type of thing where the top of the organization speaks. This is Zuckerberg 100% not having any understanding of human decency.
Well,
it's the same thing that dovetails with his horrific plan to get involved in politics, right? His Forward U.S. It's the same thinking, which is the same thinking of how he treats the users and their privacy. How many times does this person at the top of this very large company have to screw the users and show that he is a bad actor before people get the message? I think people have. I mean, they made a movie about him stealing from his friends. What do you think, Marshall?
I don't agree. I think that I can't say for sure, but having reported on having reported about Facebook a lot at Read Write Web, and having people come to me and pointing at instances of Facebook failing to or stepping over a line to pull things down, and speaking to Facebook, they've got people throughout the organization over there that are working in good faith, are challenged to scale, are dealing with a lot of complexity and subjectivity. And this sounds like it was a mistake, and it sounds terrible, and hopefully they'll deal with it well. But I don't think that I don't think they're bad actors starting at the top. I think that this is a new phenomenon, an organic process that we're all learning to deal with together. And maybe they need to bring Katarina Fake and the great community managers from the early days of Flickr in, if they haven't already. I'm sure they have, to sit down and talk about how to do it.
Should you be able to joke about domestic violence and rape?
Should you be able to?
Yeah.
You should not do that.
You shouldn't do it. Should you be allowed to do it on a service? So in the world, you would say freedom of speech. People can joke and speak about whatever you want. You believe that, right? If I'm a comedian, I can make any joke I want.
I don't know.
Look at Louis C.K.'s latest performance.
That's why I'm making a point here. Is like you have one of the most popular comedians, as James is about to point out, make rape jokes, domestic violence jokes, and inappropriate jokes constantly, James. So how is that different than doing it on a service? And if you answer it wrong, I'll explain why you're wrong. Go ahead. No, James, seriously.
Well,
Unpack it.
I think there's a legal precedent for this, which is Prodigy had issues in like 1996 with people saying anti-Semitic stuff, and it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. Basically, if you pull down one thing, you're required to pull down everything. And if you don't or you can have a policy you're not going to pull down anything. So Facebook is trying to straddle the middle, but the problem is they have 1 billion users. So as Marshall said, there's a scalability issue. Like you can't really straddle the middle line here. There's no easy answer. Ethically, should you make offensive jokes to people? No, but as you said, there's also a time and a place for it. Like Louis C.K. on his last HBO special makes fun of Jews, slaves, everything, like raping kids. Like he does everything in that special. Nobody complained, or I don't think they did.
Well, there is a thing, having talked to comedians about this very issue, having some friends who are in that space, they feel like comedians should be able to make any joke they want in the safety of a comedy club or a comedy special. That is a sacred place for them. They should be able to experiment with laughing about this. Well, that's how they feel. That's their position. Now, when we get to a private service that is provided by a corporation, that's when things differ, right? So Tumblr, like WordPress, I had Matt Mullenweg on the program. That's going to be released in a couple of weeks. He was like, we don't have any porn on WordPress. We don't allow adult content of that nature, just straight up porn. But Tumblr did, right? So it's up to the individual who runs the service to make their own judgment call. When I launch Inside.com, I'm not going to have adult content on it, right? That's just my decision. But that's what I mean by it's the person who runs the ship gets to make these decisions. And this shows how little backbone they have as well, because the second they let this go on for 2 years, and then God bless the people who are doing the fbrape tag and stuff like that, who said, listen, I don't want to participate in a system that does this. It's not a comedy club. This is a system that we all use, that is a communication tool that's provided by Facebook, and it's offensive that you don't let a mastectomy or breastfeeding on, and you allow rape jokes and roofie jokes and just all the crazy stuff. Now, of course, policing it is hard.
Sure.
So if they make mistakes in policing, that's one thing. But on a policy level, they had a bad policy.
Well, their policy was that they don't allow hateful, glamorizing violence kind of things. So at what point did somebody look at this and say that this wasn't hateful?
Yeah, that's the bizarre thing, is that they let stuff stay. So that to me is either an execution thing or just a lack of empathy or thinking about it. But you're a woman. What do you think of these things? I mean, you're the only woman on the program right now.
I'm the only one on the program. I'll speak for all women.
No, not for women, but you do have a perspective of a female, and it's going to be different than a guy's. Let me hear yours.
Sure. No, I just, to be clear, I'm a First Amendment person all the way. You have the right to say whatever you want. That doesn't mean you have the right to be allowed to say it on a private place. I think Facebook is right to have this kind of policy in place, and it should be enforced more carefully and more consistently.
Yeah.
And I think these pages are disgusting. And if I were an advertiser, there's no way I'd want my ad next to that. And I'm surprised that Nissan was really one of the only ones that came out and said, we're not doing this until you can guarantee that our ads don't appear next to this kind of crap. Yeah, we're not doing this.
Yeah, so that was the master stroke. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, it's clearly a policy issue and policy failure. So either they made the wrong policy or they're not technically scaling enough to handle it. So capitalism is playing its role, and messages are being sent, and then they're going to fix it. Like, this is also one of those things that evolves along with evolving into 1 billion users. Like, they're bigger than a continent right now. So it's hard to build a police force for a continent.
They are the third or fourth largest country.
1.1 billion people.
Yeah, it makes them the third largest country. Yeah, pretty hard to police.
And that change.org petition, by the way, I looked at it. You have signatures that go back 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't know who or what finally kicked it into the right gear to get more attention.
I think that social media obviously helps. Twitter helps. But
there was social media 2 years ago, and the petition.
Yeah, I think it was just somebody being very clever and saying, this is why Operation Wall Street was a failure in a lot of ways, because they just didn't have good ideas and execution on their, protest, their outrage. And so, this is outrage done right, which is a hashtag, which can build momentum, and a hashtag that is evocative, fbrape, whoa, right? And CC the advertiser with their ad next to a woman who's passed out being carried by a guy saying, like, lose your virginity.
I don't know, how much detail you necessarily need to go into. I mean, there's probably some amount of sensitivity to the emotional needs of the audience would, I think, could behoove it.
You're talking about me? Or me moving on? Yeah. Anyway.
I don't think, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Listen, anyway, I think we're going to disagree about this, Marshall and I, but they need to just, they need a little more introspection about how they think about people. That's how I'll leave it. I think Facebook doesn't, they look at people in a commoditized fashion. They always have, and they've looked at them, as how do we get our goals accomplished as quick as possible, growth, independent of the empathy for the individuals. And that's my personal belief. When we get back from the commercial break, we're going to play the great new segment, which is Who Had the Best Launch? Max Levchin with his Glow fertility app, Yves Bahar with his August smartlock, or Fanhattan's Apple TV competitor, also designed by Yves Bahar, but a different company, when we get back from this commercial break. Hey, let me tell you, you have to have a great lawyer if you're going to do a startup company, and Scott Walker is that guy. Walker Corporate Law, fantastic. They do a great job, and they believe in fixed fees. What this means is when you did your A round or your seed round, you didn't know how. Did you know how much your legal bill was going to be?
I didn't. Fortunately, I had a great lawyer, so it worked out really well.
Right, but this is the thing. You don't know. And you get that surprise bill, and you could have a good lawyer. It turns out okay, or you could have a lawyer who's maybe got to bill a couple extra hours because they got to pay for their home in Aspen or something, and they just ram and jam you with a huge bill. A bill that might be 10% or 5% of what you're raising. This happens. I've seen it in startups, and I've had to make the phone call to the attorneys and say, hey, slow down. Slow down, big boy. I've done those calls. Let's adjust the bill. Anyway, they do fixed fees, and they encourage fixed fees because they believe billable hours reward inefficiency. Their lawyers have 10 to 20 years experience, no junior associates getting on-the-job training while you're doing your very important startup. Examples of services, Mighty Text, which has got a great write-up in TechCrunch. First engage Walker Corporate Law for their $2,900 all-you-can-eat startup package. Then use them for their seed financing and their stock option plan. They do mergers and acquisitions, licensing agreements, terms of service and privacy policies, all this great stuff. If you want to talk to the founder, Scott Edward Walker, you can call him direct, 415-979-9998. 415-979-9998. And you can email him, Scott at Walker Corporate Law, or visit Walker Corporate Law. He's a great guy. I know a lot of people have used him. And, yeah, thank you. Thank you, Scott, for sponsoring the program. And you won't go wrong, 415-979-9998. Okay, let's do the segment.
Well, and just quickly, he's going to be doing a workshop at our TWiST Live event next Friday.
Oh, yeah. With TWiST Live, we're going to have office hours on June 7th. And, yeah, I'm going to interview Kara Swisher, and he's going to do a little...
Yep. So if you want to meet him, you can do it then.
Great. Awesome. All right, let's do this new segment. Explain the segment, and let's... Yeah.
Okay, so the concept is the launch of the week. So every week, new products, new companies launch.
Okay.
And
I like it so
we're
far.
going to take 3 of those and look at them and then debate which one was the best.
Okay, I like it. Let's go.
All right, so the first one was Max Levchin's Glow fertility app, and we do have a video of that.
Here we go.
In a second what that looks like. There's a machine learning model. So this is a very quick demo of how to use it. So here's a calendar. So I happen to have entered something that lands me on Wednesday 29, which is today. 33% chance of pregnancy. If I go back and forth, I can sort of see roughly what my fertility window will look like, or Nellie's fertility window. I can flip to a larger calendar. You can see that period days are predicted with a little pinkish color, and green is the fertile window, and there are other days which are neither. Switch back to my little other window, go to today's day, and we can get started. The other thing so this is one unique thing about this product is that this is actually a his and hers, or hers and hers. We don't want to be prejudiced here.
Okay. His and his. Well, no, not really, but go ahead.
Neither one can be a birth mother. We thought about it for about a second.
Sorry, I know, I live in San Francisco, I apologize.
Still can't carry a baby. Because we signed in through a social network, it figured out that Nellie's partner, or husband in this case, is I, and will invite me to join. And I will get my invitation, and I will start helping her log her data, track information, and some other interesting features. So you can see here that we do the forecasting in real time. As I adjust the data, it'll actually recalculate my fertility window. The more interesting piece that is unique to this product, it's a big data or a machine learning driven approach where we look at our accuracy as the consumers or as the users of the app enter their information. We adjust our weights on the formula, which we looked at the best and some unpublished literature to figure out what we can do and try to better it.
You need more data, not than just a menstrual cycle.
Okay, so that's number one.
That's number one.
Figure out your fertility with his app.
Yep.
And let's see the second one. This is the August Smart Lock. Coming right up.
And through Bluetooth,
I'm operating the app
it
with the left hand.
authenticates me
Giving
that
you
I
a
have
tip.
access.
Thank you. I'm running the hers version of the app,
Okay, got
incidentally.
it.
Yeah.
Just helping you out.
Thank you. Did I have some?
Okay, we're still watching the Glow one. Let's go back to the August one. Here we go. It's Bryce's first day being the media jockey.
So he's bringing beer to the door.
And the lights come on. If you look at the lock on the other side of the door, the lights come on, the lock beeps, and I should get a little audio feedback, but it's a little noisy in here. Did we not get the feedback? Oh, it did. Did we? Okay. So and there goes the beer.
Now it's locked again.
Anyone want a beer? Okay. So it automatically will authenticate me, and I didn't hear it, and so I'm going to just do it manually for you. The demo gods are not with us. So we step through, and he also can set it so that as I close the door behind me, August will automatically, it'll automatically lock the door. It's not the best door. Okay, let me show you on the app. So I'll load up the app, and you'll see here. There's Eve's door, right? And it auto-locked, in theory, as I pass through. So it shows it locked. And I can use the app, and I can just press on it, and it will trigger the unlock.
Yeah.
You saw it that time.
You guys see that?
Right, yeah. It just had
I'll do it again. So I can press it to lock.
Right.
And I can press it to unlock again, so you see that. So I can choose to not do the auto unlock by just going over here and turning it off.
But the auto unlock, what should have happened, what you hoped would happen.
That's right.
Was as you approached, the door would unlock. Your hands were full. You didn't have to reach for a key.
Yeah,
that's the point.
It actually did unlock, but he was talking for too long, and
I missed.
All right, okay.
I missed the cue.
So it unlocked.
It did.
But it didn't.
Okay, so that's the auto lock. Great. And the third one is Fanhattan.
Fan TV.
Fanhattan's Fan TV. Got it.
Yep.
Here we go. All right, here we go. And in 3, 2,
I have to put my beer down. That was the point, right? You have approaches in your hand. You have you want
Got it.
approaches in the other.
So let's go back over here. So the concept is that you.
Okay, yeah, you got to close the window. There we go. Okay, now we go here. We hit play.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Secondly, you're going to replace your sort of frumpy-old set-top box with something that, for once, is going to look good in your living room.
Okay.
And it's a mirror image of the remote control. In fact, they sit one on top of each other with a magnet.
Wow. Ooh.
Very simple. Very small, but yet very powerful. But the whole idea behind this is that you want to have all of your entertainment sources coming to this device, so you don't have to switch inputs.
Right,
So
because
this
they switch between Roku and Apple
That's
TV.
why you're on the stage, because when you showed this to me, you said you don't have to switch inputs.
That's right. That's the idea. And in order to do that,
So this gets my cable.
this gets live TV, DVR on the cloud, VOD, and over-the-top services. So you get.
So I can get my Netflix, my Amazon, my cable right here.
Or
What
satellite.
about Apple TV?
Well, so what do you mean by Apple TV?
My little device. I have to.
Do I get
plug in.
iTunes?
Yeah. Can I get iTunes?
This runs Android. So if Apple decides to sort of bring Apple iTunes.
Oh, it runs Android. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
But
So
the idea.
no.
The idea is, you could ask them actually.
Still
but
unplugged.
This is
They're not answering very much.
This is the reason why we think this is interesting is because we're a company that's outside of the ecosystem. We're not vertically integrated. We don't license content. We're only focused on the discovery experience. So on paper, we can work with everybody from that standpoint. There is no conflict of interest here. But really the important point...
Okay, there you have it. We had Max Levchin doing his Glow Fertility app, Yves Bahar and Jason Johnson doing the August Smart Lock, and Fanhattan's Fan TV, a set-top box that allows you to bring in any service. They don't have their own horse in the race in terms of content services, so your DirecTV, your Hulu, everything just works on it, and it's a nice-looking product. Okay, so Marshall, which one was your launch of the week? Which one did you like best?
I don't know. I don't watch TV. I don't have kids, and I don't mind unlocking my door when I come home. So none of these did a whole lot for me.
None of the above is answer D.
Most of the time, when someone says the phrase cervical mucus in public, I think the world wins. So I'm gonna go with Glow.
Okay, so that's the feel good choice. Obviously, making babies is good business, and yeah, mucus and all kinds of cycles and everything, and it looks like it would actually work really well. So that's one vote for Glow.
There have been methods for a few thousand years to accomplish the same goal, but if some people need an app, then cool.
Yeah, the app is fun. I like the idea that it's a couple in the app. I think it's a logical decision. James, which one do you like best? Which was your launch? By
far, Glow, and I'll tell you why. Very small percentage wants to know exactly when they can have kids and stuff, but a huge market for contraception. So this is actually the ultimate contraception device. So you know when she's not fertile. So if you don't want kids, like most people, then this is a great device. That's the secret market, and he knows it.
So he went with the pro kid when in fact it's an anti-kid.
Yeah. He's acting so nice and everything, like, oh, we'll give you your money back if you don't have kids. This is a contraception device.
Really? Okay, so Kirin?
I might surprise you. I liked Fan TV.
All right, take me through your thinking.
I would really like something that's just that easy to use, and we didn't show the part of the demo right before that, but that little remote control fits very nicely in your hand. And he was saying, you can have a glass of wine in the other, and Kara's like, or if you don't drink wine and you're not French, you could have a beer. And just it looks very elegant, and if it just works, I mean that's what Apple's supposed to do, right? The Apple TV has never just worked.
No, Apple TV. I mean, I reinstalled it because I wanted to watch Arrested Development in the gym, and I was like trying to set it up, and it's just like, this is not really a great product. And it's so like, it feels like that product is driven by iTunes and everything else is a concession. Like they put like Hulu and
they don't really want you to watch that stuff.
Netflix. It's like they're putting it there and the interface kind of sucks for those things. But what really Fanhattan came out, so that's two for Glow, one for Fanhattan, but two for Glow for different reasons. The thing that's really interesting about Fanhattan is they had an app out for a while that was a recommendation engine.
Right,
and what they're really trying to solve for is the what to watch tonight, kind of like what to watch on a Friday night. And that discovery process is incredibly broken right now because Netflix does it based on what their inventory is. You need to have somebody who's above Netflix, above Amazon, saying, I'm looking into your Amazon account, I'm looking into your Netflix account, I'm looking into your Hulu account, let's say you had all three, and I'm looking at your DirecTV. Here are your choices based on your tastes. And I do that manually right now. I go to Metacritic, I find out what I want to watch, then I have to go to Netflix and see if they have it. I have to go to my Amazon Prime, see if they have it. I have to see if it's on iTunes. I have to see if it's going to be on cable. It is so annoying.
You just want to watch it.
You just want to watch it. So it's a great idea.
There's one problem though with all these kind of apps with television is that they don't handle live broadcast TV very well.
And this one does.
But it's not legal. Like the broadcast stations, I have not heard the broadcast stations happy about this. Like they control their content because their advertisers are local.
Yeah, no, but you're allowed to
national advertisers.
They're doing over the air, which they're allowed to do. There's no difference between using this or using TiVo with over the air. So they're allowed to do this. This isn't like you put it in a server room and then you sell it for $10 a month. An individual is allowed to use this. It's not like Aereo in that Aereo's doing the DVR on the cloud kind of thing. This is in your home. You're allowed to do it. But my understanding is you can put cable TV, and they didn't say DirecTV explicitly, but I think you can put DirecTV into it and then not use the DirecTV interface, use their interface. So for me, it's tough. I think the Glow stuff, it's feel good, or whatever. But
it's part of his big data obsession, right? Like we can manage our health better if we know.
It's well executed. It's feel good. It's been done before. I can't give it my startup of the week. I can't give it my launch of the week for that reason. It's been done. This may be the best execution of it. It may be the most feel good. If this award was the best launch of the week, the best feel good of the week, clearly that would be it.
Right, and he's doing this fund with it so that if you don't get pregnant within a certain amount of time, they will give you money possibly to fund your fertility treatments.
That's all well executed, but I don't think ultimately this is the big winner.
No,
I think this is a single. So I'm going to do it based on that. So I take Glow out, actually.
Okay.
But now if you go back to the next two, Fan TV and the August Smart Lock, it's the August Smart Lock. It's not the Smart Lock. They have a series of automation that they're going to do that with your phone is going to be very powerful. So now what they didn't explain in that thing, that was a terrible demo. Let me say that. If I was coaching that demo, I would fix that 1,000%. What they didn't say was you can give a key to somebody for an hour. So I could say to my dog walker, you can come into the house between 10 and 11. And then if I have a camera, I could have my camera go on between 10 and 11. I can see what you do in my house. Or if I come home, it could turn on the lights to my office and turn on some music. If Jade comes home, it could do something else, right? So they have a big vision here, which they didn't.
It's not just a lock.
It's not just a lock. They want to be able to give you a key for a certain period of time, revoke the key, or you come to my house. So it's a lot of interesting things that can happen. And walking up to your door and having it open without having to do anything is pretty clever. And there could be a lot of other things that are like that, whatever it is.
Well,
so
and you spoke to Eve at length, so you know some of this.
I know some of this, but it was also part of the talking points. You only have a limited amount of time on stage. They did not use it well. They did this gimmicky thing by taking the beers and whatever. It was a bad presentation. Bad launch, but a brilliant thing, home automation. Now, Fanhattan's Fan TV, this is a big deal because it's better than anything on the market, and it collects everything on the market and doesn't have a horse in the race. But they are up against an Apple TV that's coming out. And there's going to be serious competition in this space. So if you say 5 years from now, which of these launches will get escape velocity, I believe Fanhattan doesn't get escape velocity because they're up against such great people. So I think it's 15 to 50% better than the products in market, but I think they get crushed ultimately. So I take them out. I'm going to go with August, but not because of the smart lock and the bad presentation, because of the bigger vision. I think in 5 years, August could be the biggest company. So I give it, for that reason, I give it my choice as the best thing.
So how do we pick the winner then?
Well, then it would be Glow based on votes. We have 4 people vote, so Glow majority rules. Glow wins. Congratulations to Glow. I lose.
Yay.
Yay, Glow. All right, I think that's. Let me know if that was entertaining or not. Jason@insight.com. Or just team@launch.co. You can let us know if that was an interesting segment to you. All right, let's do the next story.
All right, so you want to talk about Twitter expanding its list feature? I think Marshall was excited about that.
Okay, here we go.
So for the longest time, Twitter has limited you to 20 lists with 500 accounts each, and now finally, after 4 years of people asking for it,
and by people asking for it, you mean Robert Scoble and Marshall Kirkpatrick.
You
Go
mean
ahead.
like the real nerds?
Yeah. There's like
now
2 people asking for
You
this.
can create up to 1,000 lists, each with 5,000 accounts. And they've supposedly been testing this for a couple of years. They didn't even do a blog post; they just did a little tweet about it. So why did it take so long for them to change the arbitrary limit? And does this matter for anyone but the real geeks?
The reason it took so long is because they got bigger fish to fry. But Marshall, why is this important?
Oh, it's a great opportunity to better engage with and segment and understand the 200 million people using Twitter. I think that it was spurred on, I'm guessing, by the hiring of Simon Rogers from The Guardian, the world's leading data journalist, now runs the Twitter media relations department. And reporters and media people love Twitter lists. They love to spin up a collection of, people on the ground in Boston, live tweeting from the police lines, or people in hurricane-affected areas, or what have you. And it was such a tight constraint to stop you at 20. I know, our product helps people produce Twitter lists automatically, really good ones, really fast. And people would complain all the time that they had hit their limit of 20.
That's the best feature in Little Bird, by the way.
Didn't know what to do.
Best feature in Little Bird. I did this. It was incredible because we have a mixed martial arts show. It's called MMA Surge that we did with YouTube for a year, and it's still going on. And I was like, I want to just get all the people involved in mixed martial arts and make a list out of it so we can just follow it and whatever. And it was like, yeah, it's a limitation. But in Little Bird, you can make a spreadsheet and you can make a list out of it, which is like so uber powerful. I mean, what an incredible feature. But will you just publish now Little Bird lists? Why don't you just make 1,000 lists for Little Bird lists and have them be updated in real time from your database?
That would be a lot of fun. To celebrate yesterday, I put out an open call for topics people wanted to see lists on, and I generated in an hour probably 10 really awesome lists on like digital humanities and games in education and stuff like that, and spun up these collections of the world-leading experts on Twitter on those topics, and made it nice and easy for people to share them.
I have lists, and I use them. Like I used to have a list called Peeps, which was I used to follow anybody who followed me. So then I made a list called Peeps, and my Peeps list were just like people who, I really liked. And so I had like 500 people on there. I made a haters list. I made a venture capitalist, but I gave up because I was like, I don't have enough of these. But yes, I think this could be good. It could be a good feature. I think it's really been ridiculous that they don't allow you to go above 500 or whatever. What do you think? Do you use lists, James Altucher?
I don't, but I think this is a great thing for two reasons. One is when you remove any limits, obviously it's better for the user. So it's going to be more fun for users. It's going to be like Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, and so on. But the other thing is you got to figure Twitter is a relatively young company in terms of figuring out advertising. Let's say Facebook and LinkedIn are like in inning 3 or 4. Google's like in inning 8. But Twitter's still like in inning 1. And I think this further, as Marshall was saying, this further helps segment the users and figure out what their interests are in real time. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of things over the next 6 months from Twitter in terms of ad exchanges, in terms of retargeting. I think their ad technology is going to make a huge leap over the next few months, and this is just a part of that strategy.
I agree with you. I think they're ramping up, and I saw this amazing thing they did for the NBA. They hosted videos for the NBA on the NBA's channel in real-time clips. And they charged them to do this, I guess. And they hosted the videos. And nobody really picked up on this in the press. And I saw this as a person who works with YouTube and has a contract with them currently. And I just turned down the second cycle funding with them, which you see on Pando Daily. There needs to be a viable competitor to YouTube. YouTube dictates all the rules. According to the 25 people I've talked to, they take 45% of revenue. The joke is I can't tell you what my deal is because I have a signed NDA with them. But 25 people told me it's 45%. I can't tell you, but I can tell you what 25 people told me. This was an interesting discussion I had with the PR department or one of the representatives of YouTube. Please don't talk about our contract. And I was like, okay, I won't talk about contract. I'll talk about what the 25 other people told me their contract is. I mean, really?
So are they violating their contract by telling you? And
Of course they are, but I'm not violating anything.
Okay.
I'm a journalist. Look at me, random act of journalism. I talked to 25 partners. They told me they hate YouTube because they take 45% and that YouTube's a bully. That's what they told me. That's what I've heard from like 24 high-end partners. The point is, what a great opportunity, because if you look at channel subscribers on YouTube and you look at Twitter follows, it's the same thing.
Sure.
And what do we do when we start the program on Ustream or on YouTube? We tweet it.
Of course.
And then those people go over there. What if they just could watch it on YouTube, on Twitter right now? Twitter is the sleeper video platform. It would be amazing. And if they did that and they put pre-rolls on videos of people and they let us keep 70% of it, people would leave YouTube in droves because they have more Twitter followers. And imagine if Eminem or Ashton Kutcher could start monetizing videos on their Twitter stream and make 70% of the revenue, and Adam Bain at Twitter could start selling against Ashton Kutcher's videos. Oh my God, they'd have the largest video network, second only to YouTube, immediately.
So now
this is a huge vision.
But people are used to stuff streaming past them in Twitter. Are they going to stop and watch a video that's
of course,
longer than
if you
a minute
click
or 2
it,
minutes?
it takes you to a permalink page.
Okay.
Yeah, and listen, if Ashton Kutcher shoots a video of himself talking about something, or Madonna does, or whoever, and this Taylor Swift gives her phone to her friend, says, videotape me playing this new lyric. I wrote an extra verse to this famous song. She's got, 10 million, 20 million Twitter followers? And then she can monetize it, and the Twitter ad network can put pre-rolls in front of it? OMG. OMG. Is this a good vision or not, Marshall?
Well, I don't know how kids feel about Twitter compared to YouTube. That's one question. Another relevant factor is that Nielsen said that a full 1/3 of active Twitter users use Twitter to comment on TV while they're watching, and that was a year ago.
Great point.
So it's going to get bigger and bigger, and why not bring it right onto the same screen? But maybe it works better as there's some big questions in play, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see how it plays out.
This is why Marshall's on the program. What an astute observation, Marshall. This is what we all do. We all tweet during TV shows. Can you imagine if Game of Thrones is happening, or shortly after, they put clips from the current episode of Game of Thrones, or if AMC does a secret deleted scene from Walking Dead or the next scene from next week? If they did 3 deleted scenes from each episode, they would get 10 million, 20 million views on Twitter.
And new followers.
And more followers. So let's say they get 50 million views a week on the Walking Dead Twitter handle at $30 CPM. You realize that's hundreds of thousands of dollars in advertising.
Well, and Dick Costolo talked about this in his conversation this week, and that Twitter being the second screen for TV, and that's something that they're really excited about.
What do you think, James?
I agree with Dick's comments that Twitter's totally the second screen. So if you merge the screens, again, think of the ad opportunities. It's unbelievable. I think it's almost like the new Hulu. You could make it.
It would be a better Hulu. Now let's segue into the Hulu story. Go.
Okay, so we know lots of folks are bidding for Hulu.
Yes, I'm not bidding.
Earlier this week, Kara Swisher broke the story that reportedly Yahoo is bidding for Hulu in the $600 to $800 million range.
Yes.
They're looking also at some other acquisitions, $150 to $200 million in the mobile and communications area. Now there are bids from Chernin Group, KKR, Time Warner, DirecTV, Guggenheim Digital. Now the source said that the entire negotiation is about control and price of content. And in this case, it's not Marissa who's leading the discussion. It's an LA-based executive who reports to Jackie Reese as her head of M&A.
Yep.
So how badly does Yahoo need a video property, and who should actually end up owning Hulu?
What do you think? Anybody?
I think this is a disaster. Like you for something like this, you absolutely need the networks to be fully involved, and the networks are dying to not be involved. That's why they want to dump it on Yahoo and cash out finally. And it's 1/4 the price that they were hoping for, most likely. So, and again, very important. There's no live broadcast TV for mobile in Hulu, and that's what a Yahoo or a Google or an Apple needs. Not Hulu.
What do you think, Marshall?
Oh, if I find any of this stuff interesting, it's Netflix, not Hulu.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Yeah, because Netflix is creating their own content, so they have Arrested Development. It's great.
Yeah. How many episodes in are you, and what is your viewing strategy?
Binge watching. I'm 8 episodes in.
Okay. See, I'm going with a different one, which I call lose weight strategy. I only am allowed to watch it if I'm on the treadmill.
That's a good strategy.
So it's like I watch 2 episodes. I got an hour in on the treadmill, and I'm not allowing myself. I put the Apple TV in the gym. And that's it. I'm banned until I start. I got to lose weight. Look at this. I'm so chubby. Look at the earlier episodes. I got a round face now. I used to look svelte. That's how I got the svelte strategy. A binge svelte. It's
Netflix reminds me of HBO in like 1980 when they started creating original content, and that's how they broke free. They broke out of the pack of the movie channels, and that's what exactly the strategy Netflix is doing, and it's being run by an ex-HBO guy, the guy who's spearheading that strategy.
And it's correct, because absolutely correct, James. Great insight. Netflix passed HBO last month. We talked about it on the show with 29 million subs.
Yep.
Now here's the thing with Hulu. Hulu has 3 million subs. Nothing to laugh at. And these contracts are 2 or 3 years that they have with the content people. The content people have decided we're not going to go direct because there's all these other people emerging like Netflix and Hulu and Yahoo as a buyer. They're going to create a marketplace, and a fragmented marketplace is in the best interest of content owners. So that's why they're selling this. Also, each of the partners like CBS and News Corp and whoever else is in this, Fox, whatever, which is part of News Corp, and they just want to be able to do their own thing. And this idea of doing it together was to force the market to create a marketplace. Now that the marketplace is created, them having their own horse in the race makes it very complicated because they want to be able to sell piecemeal. Like, who wants Family Guy? Okay. Who wants Disney films? And Netflix famously just paid $1 billion for Disney.
Lot of money.
I think they paid $1 billion for the Disney stuff, and it's going to start in 2015. I was going to cancel my Netflix because I wasn't getting a lot of use out of it. And I was like, you know what? Netflix got all the Disney catalog. Maybe I'll stick around because Disney also includes Star Wars and whatever. So maybe they'll get Star Wars as part of that too. So this is great for content creators, and that's why they're dumping Hulu. Here's what Yahoo gets though: 3 million paid subscribers at whatever it is, $10 a month. That's $300 million a year. That's a pretty good start. If they could start buying content, doing original content, maybe they could make it work. But Marissa, in her DNA, does not want to pay for content.
Yeah, and who there knows how to buy content. Like Netflix is actively hired for people who are experts at this.
I'll tell you who's going to win. Anybody want to know who's going to win? I was talking to people who are inside the deal. Yahoo doesn't win.
Yahoo's not going to win.
No. It's going to be between Amazon and a combination of Chernin and Guggenheim partners. That's my belief. Chernin running it, like a consortium of like Chernin and Guggenheim partners, keeping it independent, somebody who really knows it. And Chernin has a deal to do original content with News Corp, and he was the former president of News Corp, right? So he's got the inside line. Guggenheim has the wallet. It makes total sense. And he knows how to do original programming. He already has a sweetheart deal with Fox to do movies for them. He's the guy, to James's point, who could actually select content where who at Yahoo is going to select content, right? They'd have to hire that. And Marissa is dead set, like all Googlers, against content people getting paid. I mean, that's my beef with YouTube right now, and that's what Marissa's going to do at Yahoo. They philosophically don't feel that content creators should get money. They're anti that.
Yahoo
Tumblr's a perfect
culturally-
example of it.
I mean, when you look at Yahoo culturally also, just because since they got rid of Terry Semel, they're very much anti-content. So they're not going to do original content.
So then I think they'll buy this, and then they have subscription revenue. But anyway, go ahead.
Jason?
Yeah.
How does the fact that Peter Chernin is on the Twitter board of directors play into all this?
You know, the same way that Eric Schmidt being on the board of Apple for a time did, which is he gets off, right? Like he's going to get off the board. And this is what happens is there's a singularity occurring in the space right now. All great internet companies, the five horsemen of the internet, are going to all be have every service. Everybody will have a tablet that they make. They'll make hardware. They'll make an ad network. They'll have a social network. They'll have a video subscription service. Everybody will have each piece. It's just a matter of time. And Twitter right now, you're like, well, Twitter's going to make a phone or Facebook's going to make a phone. And it's like, well, maybe not. We'll see. But ultimately, you would think, yes, they'll buy a phone company like Amazon is and Google is and Apple is. Will Apple start making original programming? I mean, that's the thing that makes no sense to me. If Apple has $140 billion, why don't they just buy some small studio and start putting that to work, making original content and making shows that they have the inside data? And that's what Bezos is doing. He has the inside data on people's watching habits and what they're buying on DVDs and what books they're doing. And they made Amazon Studios and they got this. He can just crush it by saying, I know House of Cards is a winner, because people who read the book, if there was a book, in that case there wasn't, but if there was a book, he would know how many pages into the book they got. That's the mind-blowing idea.
Jason, to your point earlier, though.
So does
Twitter,
Apple buy BuzzFeed?
No, they don't want to be in the content business.
So
CNN buys BuzzFeed. Time Warner buys BuzzFeed. AOL buys BuzzFeed. Sure. Yahoo, maybe.
But, you know, Jason, to your point earlier, Twitter is going to start synchronizing more and more with television and television audiences, and it creates a whole new ad category. And this is where Peter Chernin plays a role. I'm not so sure he's going to be getting off the board of Twitter anytime soon. I think Twitter is going to be a very original content play, just not in the way we're used to. It's not going to be House of Cards. It's going to be something new.
Yeah, like YouTube is. And here's an interesting thing. What if Twitter and Chernin and Guggenheim all went like third, a third, and a third, and Twitter had the ability to be cut into the revenue stream, and you could use your Twitter handle as your subscription service, and you know they get the ad revenue when it's played on. They get a half of the ad revenue when it's played on Twitter, so they could start them on third base, right? And so the idea that Twitter hasn't been super acquisitive, they've been, you know, sort of middle of the road acquisitive. Now that their stock is worth 10, 12 billion, why not start buying stuff, right? And if that's what now, this is what Marissa's, I think, legacy and impact is going to be. She is buying up a storm, and she's brilliant. And remember I said that would be the number one thing that she should do is start buying stuff before she took the job or right as she took the job. That's exactly what she's done, because she has the funny money currency. She's got this huge $30 billion company or whatever. She just used the currency of the company to buy, and wait for a YouTube to emerge.
Right. Well, and the question there was which entrepreneurs wanted to sell to her, and now we see.
Explanation point now. Yeah. If you're willing to overpay, every entrepreneur. You know, like that's the thing about entrepreneurs. If you're willing to overpay, they're going to give you attention. What about Little Bird? I mean, why is Twitter not bought you guys yet?
It's a fair question.
Have they?
Because we have more adventure to have.
Because you're not selling.
Our future still lies before us.
Now, let me ask you a question. How do you get access to all the Twitter APIs and stuff? You use NIP or something like that? Or what's the other service? Data something? How do you get access? Do they give you access?
Nope. We don't. We've got a good relationship with Twitter, and we're not using the same kind of data that those other people are selling. We're using social profile data, not content.
Ah, interesting. So you look at the.
So we're looking at who's friends with who. On your MMA list, for example, we did that analysis by looking to see which MMA players are being followed by all the other MMA people.
Yeah, you spider out.
And that data is different than, yeah.
And you could do that without their permission, frankly. I mean, you don't really need their permission to look at the followers.
Yeah, we do it. But we pull so much of it so fast that it's good that we have a good relationship with them.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. Okay, let's do a final story and then get the hell out of here.
All right. So I think.
Is there one that our guest would like to comment on?
I think if we talked about the Dumb VCs posts, considering we have James and Mark.
Sure. Dumb VCs. Let's hear it. Sure.
Right. So Andy Dunn of Bonobos wrote a piece.
Who?
Andy Dunn of Bonobos.
Oh, Bonobos.
Yes.
Oh,
the guy
that's a legit
custom,
company.
Right. The custom men's clothing. He wrote a post on Medium. The top 2% of the firms generate 98% of the returns. Industry is dying. The best VCs don't call entrepreneurs, but they take too long to decide. They're late to meetings. They don't use the product before they invest. And so Mark Suster, both sides of the table, decides to write a response, and Andy certainly encourages this. He knows that by saying, dumb VCs, he was using a device that would certainly get people's attention, though he doesn't, of course, think that all VCs are dumb. And
he's link baiting. That device is called link baiting.
And Suster...
Never heard the term.
Suster said, VC is like Congress. It's easy to hate in mass, yet many people love their local congressman because, of course, Andy had pointed out he loved his VCs. And Suster looked at the data. Now, 25% of VCs consistently beat alternatives. The industry is reinventing itself, he said. He thinks they do spend too much time making decisions, and he has more tolerance of lateness now, and he does, of course, agree that you should use the product if you're going to invest in it. So some things he agreed, some things he disagreed. Who do you agree with more, and how many dumb VCs have you encountered?
Here's the quote I liked. When I finally did raise capital, I was sitting in the W Hotel Union Square when I serendipitously ran into him, the VC. He looked at me and said, and I quote, "I can't believe you didn't call me before you raised your A round after all the time we spent together." Dear dumb VC, it's not my job to call you. It's your job to call me. And the fact that we spent all this time together and you never got me a term sheet is a strong indicator that you'd rather do what's in the worst interest than what's in my best interest. And that's a fair point.
Right.
I've had this happen to me. The bottom 2/3 of VCs cannot give you a no, and they don't give you a yes. They're operating out of fear, and they're waiting for somebody else to validate the deal before they say. So once I got Sequoia into Mahalo, once I got Mark Cuban into Weblogs, everybody wants to come in. But people you talked to before that, they're waiting for somebody else to pull the trigger, and then they want to do this like +1, I'll give you like a +1 term, +2 term. And when people do that, it makes them lame. So he does have fair points in here. And frankly, VCs are going through, I think, a flip-flop where they used to be powerful. And now when the market is this hot and there's so much capital and the entrepreneurs are so king right now, or queen, as the case may be, they've lost their power, and people can write posts like this. And it really started with Adeo and the funded, but I don't know. Would you guys read the post? What do you think, James?
I look at it both from an investor's point of view and an entrepreneur's point of view. So as an investor, investing in a diversification of venture capital funds is no better than investing in the stock market with a tiny bit of leverage, because VCs exit when the stock market goes up, and VCs have problems when the stock market goes down. So as an investor, you might as well invest in the liquid stock market than in venture capital. But now, from an entrepreneur's point of view, looking at VCs, I think it is dumb money, because look, a great example is Yammer. All the VCs invested in Genie, but then they made $1 billion on Yammer. So, and that happens over and over again, where the VCs and even the angels also, I could attest to Buddy Media, we get lucky when it works out. It's almost all luck in most cases, whether the VCs are going to make their money or not. And even Paul Graham's written about this.
Yeah, it is true. You have to take a portfolio approach. Marshall, what are your thoughts?
Well, I love our investors. They are really smart, really experienced. Mark Cuban, Howard Lindzen, lots of angels. Jay Baer and Dharmesh Shah. Maybe they're the exception. I don't know. They're angels. But the more traditional venture capitalists that I talk to are also really smart, really knowledgeable people that I learn a lot from. So maybe someday I'll have so much experience that I'll look at these people and think, oh, what fools you all are. But I have a hard time imagining that.
At the end of the day, though, it's all about the numbers, and you just have to look at how have VC funds returned versus other asset classes, and it's just not impressive. So it's an illiquid investment. Your money is locked up, and it's highly correlated with the S&P 500, which is totally liquid.
Unless you're in the top 10, and I happen to be an LP in one of the top 2. If you're lucky enough to be an LP in one of those, you're golden. So that's the other problem. But let me just tell you.
Maybe, what's the top 10? Like, is Kleiner still top 10 in terms of returns?
Well, absolutely, right. And so if you're in the top 10 in 1995, you're by definition probably not in the top 10 in 2013, because you probably had some skill then, unless you're someone like Sequoia who has, done it year after year after year. But if you look at Kleiner, that's a perfect example of, spiky returns. So very few have put together a meaningful track record that's consistent. I mean, Sequoia's one, and there's like maybe 1 or 2 others. I don't have all the data at my fingertips. But here's the thing. If you're a VC, you should probably write most entrepreneurs are dumb. Dear dumb entrepreneurs. Because the truth is, everybody's dumb. I've been a lot of people in this world over 20 years. I can tell you unequivocally 2/3 of the people out there are dumb. I don't care if you're VC or an entrepreneur or in the media. Most people are stupid. James, am I correct or not?
I would say 95%, and I'm one of them.
Well, I wasn't referring to you by name, James. But
no, but I got it.
The truth is, most people are stupid, okay? So if we're going to say most VCs are stupid, then you have to look at the entrepreneurs and say, what percentage of them are stupid? What percent of the planet are stupid? People make stupid decisions constantly. The older I get, the more I realize how stupid I was. I'm not stupid anymore, but God damn, there's a lot of dumb people out there.
Well, but so is there a viewpoint you agree with more than the other? Do you think Andy's more right or is Mark more right?
Doesn't matter.
By the way, they're both right. Because, again, neither of them talk about the actual return characteristics of investing in venture funds, which is really the important issue.
There's an issue of bad behavior that is what this is all about, right? So James is right. If you want to talk about who's a good basketball player, who has the most playoff wins, who has the most rings, like what are we defining this based on? And for VCs, it's return. However, there is a subtext here, which is how do people behave when they have the upper hand? And I am fascinated with this. When you have the upper hand, when you become the 800-pound gorilla, how you treat people speaks volumes. And I have made a point in my career when I became influential, when I had the upper hand, to try and challenge myself to be the best I could to the people who didn't have the power on the other side of the equation, whether that's an entrepreneur I'm investing in or whatever, somebody I've got the upper hand with my Twitter follower account or whatever. I've always tried to be... and sometimes I fail. I'm not perfect, but you can tell when you have the upper hand in negotiation, then you can really see what a person's character is, right? And I can tell you, like, the people I've tried to affiliate myself with, someone like Mark Cuban, who's an investor in Marshall. Mark has the upper hand with anybody he's with. He's a billionaire. He's famous. He's powerful. He's got the Twitter followers. But I can tell you, when he talks to Marshall, and I've had him as an investor, I've been trading emails lately about Inside.com and the product roadmap, you feel like you're an equal. And even more than that, you feel like you're at you're at his service, that he's at your service, right? And I think that that's how I measure the people I know. Like Elon Musk, I can tell you, like in interpersonal relationships and everything, he's a great guy and he has a lot of power now, but he still will take the time to have a conversation with somebody who walks up to him at a conference, and says, like, why don't you do this? And he'll say, that's a really interesting, I have like a real human conversation with him. But I can tell you there are VCs who are not like that. There are VCs who behaved reprehensible, and I always try to return emails to entrepreneurs and be clear with them, like, this isn't an investment for me, and it's one of the problems I have with YouTube right now, I'll be totally honest. I mean, I feel like they're an example, Google is an example of somebody when they have the upper hand who doesn't treat the person who isn't the 800-pound gorilla well, whether it was the Google Panda update or it's YouTube's relationship with content creators. I feel like and I don't even know if they're knowingly being abusive.
Does intent matter?
Well, I don't actually think so. And I usually always say intent matters, but I think that it's when you do accumulate a lot of power and you have a lot of wealth or a lot of fame or a lot of power, any of those combination, it's up to you to be the better person. And I don't feel like Google is succeeding in that mission all the time, consistently. I do see great things that they do, like fighting against, these subpoena-less, warrants and stuff like that, giving Wi-Fi to people in Africa. Obviously, they're a fantastic company. They're good people. But I do think that they don't give enough thought to, hey, we're the 800-pound gorilla now. We're not the upstart. How are we impacting partners? How are we impacting the ecosystem, right? And it's the same with Microsoft. And now you see when Microsoft started to go downhill and they weren't, on the upswing, boy, did their behavior change. They realized, like, hey, we should be good people to other people. I think you should be a good person all the time consistently. And I challenge myself to do that. I've really thought about that in my life. Like, when I made my money or whatever, when I got famous, and internet famous, like, how could I be a better person to the people who are not? And you see my interactions with startups and entrepreneurs. I always try to give them time. Always try to give them consideration, right? And I think that's what you're seeing in this post is a lot of these VCs, they give people 15 minutes, or like Dave McClure, I've talked to him about his bad behavior and he's getting called out on it now. He's just a little obnoxious and, raw with how he treats entrepreneurs and grabbing their laptops and reading the laptop when he's on stage and all this kind of behavior. Like, you need to think about your personal behavior. And again, I'm not perfect. I've had to really think about my personal behavior. How do I act? And I failed many times in my career and they're well documented when I acted like a jerk. But, you know, Dave McClure is going through his own personal journey. He acts like a jerk, you know, and he's got to, like, get his shit together. Sorry, $10. But he has to get his shit together and not act like a jerk to people, or else you get this reputation of, hey, now that you... Dave McClure was not acting like a jerk when he didn't have a fund. Then he gets a fund and he acts like a jerk, right? He's got to change that behavior, and he knows that. And he has changed it, and I give him a lot of credit for that. Anyway, whatever. It's a rant. What do you think, Marshall?
I was distracted by the blimp that was flying over outside that you had sent to deliver free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. Google blimp. Pretty amazing that they do that. They're sending blimps to... I mean, this Google's got really, on some level, great intent. Sending blimps to Africa to give them Wi-Fi, pretty cool. What do you think, Marshall, about the overall point of just VCs and bad behavior? Or Mark Cuban being at your service. Do you have that same experience with Mark, that you feel like he's like really at your service?
To a large degree, yeah. Mark is awesome. He's really responsive. You know, he wrote back to me in 10 minutes when I pitched him. He writes back to me by email probably 2 or 3 times a month. He responds promptly when I ask him for advice or input. Makes lots of great introductions. He has a gentle handshake, as my co-founder and wife Michelina puts it when we got to meet. Yeah, real good guy. I think that those other investors need to take off the Google Glass and look us right in the eye. No, you know,
good callback.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a big continuum.
Good callback. All right, we could talk. James, anything you want to add to this?
No, that's good.
Okay, all right. Listen, this has been an amazing program. Kirin, you have anything to add?
I was just going to say, Mark Suster included a funny video that we should show a clip of.
All right, show the clip.
Right, this is the Nikola Tesla pitching Valley VCs.
Oh, okay,
cartoon.
good. I heard about this. I never seen it.
Thanks for coming in, Nick. My partners are really excited.
Hi, Nick.
Can't wait to see what you got.
Thanks for having me. You're not going to show a deck, are you?
Well, I would like to see a deck.
I will begin by showing you my inventions for transmitting electricity wirelessly. Sounds great.
Hey, do you mind if Josh sits in?
Sure. Who's Josh?
Nice to meet you. Josh is an EIR. He's thinking of starting a company in your space.
That does not sound great. Just leave out the parts you're not comfortable sharing.
Or we can reschedule.
Since it took a while to schedule...
Fantastic.
Before you proceed, can you tell us a bit about the market? My inventions allow the wireless transfer of energy to power any device.
So this is a wireless play or an energy play?
Technically, it would be both. Hard to do two things at once. The inventions send energy wirelessly to any device, even mobile devices.
So this is a mobile play.
If this guy thinks he can go after 3 markets at once, he's crazy. Maybe not 3 markets, but 3 big intersecting opportunities.
Nick, I think you're sounding a bit defensive.
If you had to pick one market, which one would you pick?
Energy is the simplest way to think about it. Energy is not as hot as it used to be.
He can always pivot back to energy if it gets hot again.
Maybe you can keep things simple. What about some kind of tie-in to Facebook? Josh?
Totally. Or a Kickstarter campaign, maybe.
Oh, did you do a Kickstarter?
No, I did not think a Kickstarter was the right avenue for this business.
It's pretty brilliant. I have to say that is brilliant. That is what people go through.
That's what VCs do all day.
Well, there was that was Dave McClure with his goddamn iPad out, and then I try to explain to the kid because he's a friend of mine for a long time. He's a good person. He's great to entrepreneurs. Like you spend 99% of your time being great to entrepreneurs, and then in the last instance you send the signal that you don't care by being on your iPad and being distracted. Be present. Take the Google glasses off. We learned a lot today. Just to go through the list of things we learned. No, I'm not going to do that. Anyway, a couple plugs. Everybody check out Choose Yourself via Bitcoin only right now. Bitcoin.chooseyourself.us.
But on Monday.
Amazon. Go to Amazon and buy it. It's an ebook, which means it's probably $1. What is it, 99
And
cents?
soft cover. It's $4.99 ebook and it's paperback.
Wait a
and
second.
It's Audible.
I know what I'm getting for the holidays for everybody.
Absolutely. I'm buying a 10-pack.
Audio as well.
Who reads the audio?
I do. And it's totally unabridged.
Did you read the audio like into a microphone like at your apartment, or how'd you do that?
No, I went to the same studio President Clinton used for his books.
Who did that for you? Was it Audible who did it?
No, but then I uploaded to Audible. I did John Marshall Studios in the city, and then I uploaded to Audible.
What does it cost to do that? What does it cost to make an audiobook?
It was about $4,000.
Oh, not cheap, but you'll make it back.
Yes.
Oh, You got to sell 1,000 audiobooks, no more, to make it back. Anyway, listen, it's going to be amazing, and thank you for being on the program again. And everybody follow J. Altucher, Jaltucher on Twitter. Marshall Kirkpatrick is Marshall K. 2 L's, and he is at Littlebird, which you can find at getlittlebird.com, getlittlebird.com, starting at $250 a month. It's way too cheap, and you're going to get way too much value from it. Marshall, any other plugs?
No, come on over and see what we've got.
How would you describe...
Thanks a bunch for...
Yeah, what would you describe the difference between you and Clout?
We discover people who are in very specific topics, and we look at their contextual respect amongst their peers instead of just picking out popular voices in general.
Got it.
But yeah, there's many differences.
Can you make sure my account is back on? Because I want to go play with it this weekend.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, pal. Everybody go to Get Littlebird. Kirin, great job. Any plugs or things that we need to tell the audience?
We have TWiST Live in San Francisco next Friday, June 7th.
Okay, and how do
so
they get
we won't be
tickets?
here in the news roundtable format. We will be live in San Francisco.
I'm going to interview Kara Swisher. She told me I should wear a cup and a helmet.
It's going to be gloves off.
Is it TWiST Live?
TWiSTLive4.eventbrite.com.
Okay.
And we're going to start with our
We're not
office
sold
hours.
out yet. It's only $2 a ticket. We just make $2 a ticket so that people don't drive by, sign up. But
right. So it's going to be
it's almost sold out. How many people?
Yeah, it's pretty close to sold out.
Okay.
We have office hours. You and I are doing it starting at 2:00. First come, first serve.
And we'll meet people who are entrepreneurs and talk to them about being at the launch festival, just ideas or whatever.
Right, what they're working on, if that's something we're interested in. And then a couple of the workshops from our sponsors, and then you will start the interview at
How many
5:00.
people can they fit over there? 100, 150?
I think it's around 150.
Okay, great. Awesome. All right. Thanks to Brandis for getting everything done. Pretty good job. I'll give you a 7 out of 10. Bryce on the media jockey, pretty good. Next week you do an 8. Kirin, great job reading the news and organizing everything. Jamont, Emily, Kroot, and Luke. Great job. Luke is tearing it up, huh? Sold a bunch of sponsorships. I like to see that, Luke. Nice job, Luke. You're on my radar, Luke. When I see the cash register ring, that's when I remember people's names.
Sure.
When you book a good guest, I see the cash register. That's when I want to talk to people in my organizations. Until then, don't make eye contact. You come to salespeople, come to me with an insertion order. Otherwise, I don't want to see you. No, you can come talk to me anytime. No, not really. Bring an insertion order. Thank you at New Relic. Thank you at Scott Walker Legit Law.
Scott Ed Walker.
Scott Ed Walker. Yeah, that's his Twitter handle. Scott Ed Walker. Thank you so much. You've been such a great sponsor. New Relic. Thank you for making a great product and being such a great sponsor. We'll see you next time on This Week in Startups. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Great job.
Thanks, Marshall. Thanks, James.
Good job, everybody.
See you guys next time.
Thank you so much for having us.